Hey, up next on Turning the Dirt, we got Mr. Josh Bordas.
Josh Bordas. How are you, buddy?
Josh. It's good to have you out here today. It's beautiful today.
A little hot.
A little warm, that's all right. Just a little bit of perspiration going on, but we all got our deodorant on, so we're in good shape today.
Bigger guys don't really like it too much.
Well, no, not really. So,
yeah.
But tell you what, come out here last night.
Had a good run.
Had a good run.
Yeah.
What are you looking for tonight?
Hopefully repeat the same thing. That's the goal for, I think, everyone, I believe.
Well, I just want to touch one thing on your truck. You know, how did your truck go from being a long bed to a short bed all of a sudden?
This winter, I actually built my entirely new truck, and the long bed truck is now the hauler.
Okay.
So that truck that I'm running now was a wrecked truck, and I didn't start working on that truck until January 20th of this year.
Okay.
So that's when we dismantled it, get it ready to be painted, and transfer stuff around, and build a new motor, and
Yeah.
you know.
So, is there a reason why you went from a long bed to short bed? I mean, is there in the pulling world? Tell the fans. Is there a reason why you chose to go short instead of long?
Well, there's more of a benefit with running a longer chassis and pulling because it's easier to get the trucks to hook up and stuff like that. But the ulterior motive for me going to a short bed and building a whole new truck is currently I run ProStreet, which is 2.6 smoothbore, but I plan on hopefully in the near future, if worst case this winter, jumping to 3.0.
Yeah.
So in 3.0 they have a chassis limit,
Okay.
which is 158
Yep,
inches.
yep.
So the short bed is under that, but I can grow into that easier than I can take away from it.
So, are you seeing these guys in the 3.0 and you're just kind of like, I want to get up there with these guys?
Yeah.
You know, we've talked all along.
Yeah.
Is it, you know, these 3.0 guys are really, really coming up.
Yep.
And, you know, this class is just starting to stair step and get bigger and bigger. So you're sitting back thinking, I got to do it. I
get
got to
in
do
it.
it.
The 2.6 smoothbore class is very competitive.
Yeah, I was going to
And
say,
there is
They
a lot
are.
of
you
trucks
can't
in it.
count that
Bro,
class
They are.
out.
You're right.
It's
Can't
growing.
count it out.
But
It's-
the 3.0 guys, it's down to literally tenths of an inch.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much all the time.
You're right. Yeah, you
That's-
stack them up pretty much in the same place.
Yeah,
I mean,
to
you
me,
really
that's
do.
an awesome truck pull.
It is.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of competition. In the 2.6 smooth, it'll get there. It's slowly growing, and it'll grow into an awesome class like the 3.0 is.
So when you roll in, and I know you pull several different places like everybody else does, but when you roll in to a venue place to go pulling, when you first, and especially a new place you've never been to before, Josh, what do you look at when you pull in there? I mean, your first things you start thinking about.
The track and who's going to be there as far as competition goes in my class. You know, and then that'll usually, most of the time, that'll give you a pretty good idea of what the track is like, because if the bigger guys that you know are super competitive in the class, if they're there, then most of the time you know it's a good track.
So you've been pulling with Smoking Speed since day one. And this year, in the ProStreet Diesel class, you're sitting in first place in points right now, as we stand, with Foreman right behind you, you know, giving you a run for your money. It ain't easy.
No. He has a very good running truck.
And tonight, obviously last night wasn't a points hook for you, but tonight is.
Yep.
What kind of plans do you have to try to make sure you're staying up in that number one spot?
Oh, they're working on the track now, so usually you'll see me standing up at the track at the first class. I'll watch the first class, and then I'll watch the class before our class goes. I'm watching the track, and sometimes I'll go out and poke the track, but most importantly, I got to check the truck over. I got to make sure the truck is ready, and I'll make adjustments based on what the track looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But most of the time, honestly, I don't have to change too much with the way I have the truck set up. You know, the big thing is just making sure the truck is safe to go down the track.
And this track here, I have noticed, especially coming from out in the Midwest, coming here, you know, this track is like a sponge. This track takes a lot of water. Now, last night you noticed they come in here. Brian and his crew come in here yesterday, did an awesome job working this track, getting this track ready to go. And the longer the night went last night, especially from my standpoint there at the announcer's tower, man, you could really see the moisture. When the sun dropped and the temperature cooled down, the moisture really come back up out of this track that has sat and sucked all that water up all day long in this sun. And, you know, it's a sponge track. It really is as far as water.
And a lot of it boils down to of driving.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
You gotta learn how to drive your truck and feel your truck.
Yeah.
That's the big thing that I've learned. I've been pulling for 6 years now. And even though we're in a lower horsepower class and you can pretty much get out of the line and just punch it, you gotta know which line to take.
Yeah.
And most of the time, some tracks you don't need to use all the power right away.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you got to be very cautious on what you do.
It is also a driving game. It ain't just from what you see sitting in a truck and then just driving down the track. You know, you have to drive that truck. You got to work that throttle. You got to pick your line out in the track. You know, and so sometimes when you see a truck cutting across the track, that's not just because he was sitting in there just driving. You know, he was putting that truck where he needed it to be.
Yeah.
And driving becomes a big factor in the pulling. And it doesn't matter what class you're in. You know, you can go down to just a stock farm tractor class.
Yep.
You see guys all the time driving on the track, and it's just not a straight run and done. There's a lot of finesse that goes into pulling.
Well, and and not to go back out of the trucks, but I talked with Chip Street coming out here on Thursday night, and we got talking about the track out here, and Chip said Chip runs one of the jet tractors, the wildfire tractors, and he's got 2 jet engines on it, and he said, Steve, I have to come out hard. And he said, I couldn't do it. He said, I had to feel the track. He said, I couldn't get on it right away. He said, I come out easy. He said, I really didn't want to tear nothing up. And he said, you know, if I could have seen a little bit different line that I took, I would have come out harder. But, you know, and that's where it's at. It's a driving track. You've got to watch where you're going to go.
Yep. I completely agree. You'll see a lot of that, especially with all the super stock classes, even the 4-wheel drive pickups and the tractor classes. You'll see them guys controlling the throttle a lot going down the track.
So there was a little bit of change in it as far as you go, as far as I understand as well. You know, your truck last trip was a 2.5, right?
Yep, there's a 2.5 truck.
Is the 2.6 a totally new class, or take us out there?
The 2.6 class is new for this year. It's something that's been kind of going in transition for the last couple of years. Places have been trying to do it and it hasn't really succeeded because, without getting into the particulars of it, 2.5 is a class that needs to be gone.
Yeah.
For everyone. For the people that are trying to bump up, it makes it easier for them. It's a smooth bore class. It's straightforward. You can't mess it up.
Yeah,
so,
it's easier for a tech official.
Yes.
You know, he's not out there measuring macros and all that. You know, he's walking in there, plugging the turbo, making sure it's legal, you know, making sure you got what you need. You know? And that's one thing I wanted to touch. And why did you decide to run here for points this year?
Well, honestly, me and Sarah talked about this the other day on the phone, to be completely honest. And the big reason why is the events she puts on, she tries to make everything as perfect as she can. She tries to get everyone from all these different areas to come. She does her best with it. We usually pull at pretty good tracks. Some of them aren't as good as others. You know, everyone has their favorite tracks.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
But in the atmosphere of it itself, it doesn't feel like you're at a pull to, you know, well, I don't know anyone here. You know, everyone here knows each other and they're all friends, which is a big thing. And the competition that usually follows her is a big thing.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of sponsors that I would like to touch on before the end of the interview, and they like to see their stickers posted everywhere.
Yeah.
She does a very good job of doing that.
Yeah, that's great. Sponsors.
Without sponsors, none of this would be possible. Sponsors and fans, none of this is possible.
That is what it's got to be.
Sarah is about that.
You know.
The first win.
So, my first win ever also was with Sarah. I did forget about that. It was at Huntington in 2017, and that was a very memorable pull for me. I will never forget that moment. It was something that was the first time I actually ran Truxus on the truck as well.
Yeah.
And that feeling was awesome. So it's something that, you know, to win point series, I won her point series last year. So to be able to continue to do that with her and help her grow, because I do know a lot of people in the sport, so it's just, everything just works well with Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's, I think Smoking Speed by far is putting on the best show for trucks out there. She's very dedicated to trucks. She is not against tractors. She has them out here as well, you know. But as far as trucks go, That's exactly what Smoking Speed was known for a lot of years, you know. So,
well, what is it like to see, the show that you pull in, with a lot of different classes? I mean, is it, it's overwhelming, I know, to come out here with all these different classes, but what's it like when you come out here as a
honestly,
puller?
especially this event and the last event in particular up here, the amount, I love seeing the jet turbine tractors, the semis, the super stock diesel trucks, all of them big classes. I love seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the work stock class, even though their class is huge, and seeing that class, just seeing how the multitude of, and there's competitors. Last event there was people from Missouri and stuff like that came out, and that's awesome to see, because pulling in general, and that's one thing I wanted to touch on too with Smoking Speed, is pulling's been, in my opinion, has been kind of dying off from the last couple of years, and
classes are hurt.
Just everything.
Yeah, all classes.
Right.
Are
Yeah, all classes, gas classes, it doesn't matter. And she's doing, her and the whole team, as a fact, is doing their best to keep that alive, and we need that, especially with the year we've been having. You gotta have fun. You gotta enjoy your time.
Yeah, because everybody's tense coming out here this year, with the COVID and everything that's going on. Everybody's eager to get out. They're excited. They're to death. But Sarah announces she has a pull and puts it on Facebook or whatever, that she's ready to go.
Yeah.
These guys and gals are ready to go.
So we're getting closer to DIDC for 2020. You got any big plans for that? Or?
I am planning on going this year. It's something I've always wanted to do for the last couple of years that I've been competitive pulling. And before I do make any type of transitions on it, that's one thing that's on my bucket list to do. I want to go down there as a 2.6 mid-bore truck and see how I stack up against them guys.
So,
and it's just that event, in my opinion, Diesels and Dark Corners, it's like Shide. If you can go down there and you can, say get the top 3, for example, I feel like you have something.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to know, if I have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you've been running good, so you're sitting in first. You're going into the night. You're against 4, but he's a heavy hitter as well as you are.
Yep.
So you've been here all year. What were the changes that you have been making constantly, or anything you can walk us through, how you've been feeling a difference in the truck, what you're doing to try to stay up in there? What is your main goal to make sure that truck is ready for tonight?
Honestly, so this year, with it being a whole new truck, and I have been pulling for, like I said, for 6 years, so I do have a very good understanding of what it takes to have a competitive truck. But the big thing, as far as the new truck goes, that I've been having to make changes with is chassis changes.
Yeah.
With the fuel system, because it is a common rail, so we run EFI Live on it, which is tuned by GL Diesel tuning.
Yeah.
So he's very good with me about helping tweak this, tweak that, getting it right. A lot of it is down to the chassis setup. That's what I've been tweaking with. So tonight, I don't think I'm going to make any changes as far as that goes. It's just basically going to be checking the truck over, making sure everything's good with it, and watching the track. Yep, watching the track and staying focused on it. If I feel like I need to make any type of chassis adjustments, the truck is pretty versatile to do that. So I will do that if I need to do that.
Yeah, well, I know you do a good job at that, and I wish you best of luck for that anyway.
Yeah.
Give it all you got.
Well, once again, sitting out there #1 in the points. So, you got guys knocking on your back door.
Yeah, Matt's nipping at my heels, that's for sure. And that truck, you cannot cut that truck out at all. When I see that truck at a pull, I know I'm gonna have a bad pull, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I do want to touch on all my sponsors. The main one, the first one, is a shop that I operate out of Phillipsburg called Mounting Repair.
Yeah.
We work on multitudes of trucks. There's probably going to be 5 or 6 of them up here tonight that I've had my hands on, actually, if not more, without really thinking into it. The next one would be Dynamite Diesel Products with Lenny, and Brian. Them guys have helped me out a lot with the fuel system on the truck. D&L Automotive Machine out of State College. They are the ones that do the machine work on the motor, and I assemble the motor myself. And they're one thing I like about them is they will machine the motor to my specs.
Yeah.
They won't do. They'll give their opinion if they feel they need to. Otherwise, they listen to what I want to do. And you got GL diesel tuning with Gordon Lindenmood. He's the one that tunes the truck. He does great.
Yeah.
And OptiLube, that's the fuel treatments, oil treatments that I run in the truck. You know, in all of our trucks is what we run.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Edge products, they help me data log the truck. You know, in Valair, that's the clutch in the truck. Great clutch. I hope I ain't forgetting anyone.
It's always good when you have that many sponsors that you kind of.
You're right.
It's a huge help.
Helping them all
Honestly,
in.
none of it would be possible without them.
You're absolutely right.
You know, between my family, friends, and sponsors, none of it would be possible.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, good luck tonight.
Yep. I appreciate
Driver of the
it.
Green Mile, ladies and gentlemen. First in points, still out here, still hanging on to number one. So
Yep.
good luck tonight.
Hey, thanks for
coming
coming
up and
Thanks
talking
for
to us
having
on Turning the Dirt.